I mean, first thing I want to do, Heather, for anybody that doesn't know you, just a quick intro from you on what you're all about, and then we will jump into
Heather Black here. So pleased to meet you. Great to recognise some names. Some of you I haven't really got to know that well, but obviously we chat on social media quite a lot. So I run, there's 3 companies technically. One is which is the Salesforce Consultancy, and we specialise in working with non-profits and help them implement Salesforce. I've worked with 250 customers now and about 500 projects, and have a team of 20 on that side now, which is exciting. And off the back of that, launched Super Mums. So Super Mums was incubated and financially supported by economic change for a couple of years, to the point that we managed to get sufficient sort of funding and sponsorship last May after the back of the World Tour, which probably where my name kind of got a bit more profile. So that helped us spin out Super Mums as a separate entity. And there's the training side and the recruitment side. So it's a social enterprise model. We're really trying to get it to a capacity where we can grow it and get investment to grow so we can further our social mission. So really exciting. So we've supported 250 odd mums now. I think it's increased with the latest cohort that started in May. It's great to have that across, like supporting people across 9 countries. Went accidentally global, but now we've got US presence as well. So, and hoping to land in Australia later this year. So yeah, lots going on.
I mean, talking about that program, you've got. I mean, you know, I know quite a few of your mentors as well. You've got a great network of people that are bringing those people through the ranks, and I think that's really, really important at the moment. With obviously from the recruitment side, you know as well as I do, the skills gap is there. So having another way of bringing people in and doing it through, you know, some really cool channels that they can learn as they go along, I think that's fantastic. So the first question I've got for you, Heather, was if you could just talk us through like how you got into the Salesforce ecosystem, so sort of your career path in a nutshell of how you started and how you got to where you are at the moment.
So I set up a non-profit in 2005 that supported young people to set up their own businesses and to get into employment. So during the course of growing that, I fell into using Salesforce because I needed a system to manage all our young people and our stakeholders and our activities that we were doing. And it was a key part of actually growing our organisation. It helped me track everything and communicate everything much better. So I kind of fell in love with the system, to be honest, and I loved getting a bit techie. I never knew I was techie before that, but kind of learning the clicks, not code. And just like, wow, I really love this. And I think what I enjoy the most about my business coaching, because I was business coaching young people at that point, is I like helping them with their strategy and their processes. And that's what you do as a Salesforce admin, right? You kind of like, you're redefining processes and the way that you work to help hit your performance goals. So the whole thing kind of really clicked for me. And so I did, whilst I was running the non-profit at the time, I grew that from 3 staff to 40 staff in a year and went from 100k to 1.3 million in a year. So that's the Salesforce helped us grow. It was quite fundamental to that growth, and it was a bit of a whirlwind. But it was, it's fantastic going through that journey. But during that time, I had to get my hands really up to speed with Salesforce. So I did the admin course, the advanced admin, and then also a consultancy course that Salesforce ran at the time, which was a week long. And so after a couple of years of really using the system, building it out, getting to grips with it, I decided that's when I wanted to become a consultant and started the consultancy path, which then led me through other training and development. And obviously it's ongoing learning, isn't it? So when I decided to become a consultant myself, I think it was that realization that I had the experience of knowing how to do Salesforce admin, but not necessarily become, how do I then work with other people and train other people? So over the first couple of years of doing consultancy, I did additional courses around business analysis, requirements engineering, change management, the additional Salesforce certifications and knowledge, because I just wanted to be good at what I did. And it's obviously establishing a new career, isn't it? Really, what to do here. I know how to tweak Salesforce, but I don't necessarily know how to design, and bring a whole team along with you on that journey. And so I've thoroughly enjoyed learning all the disciplines and kind of, really establishing that, and then building a consultancy team around me who follow the same principles and guidance.
It's really important to get it from that sort of rudimental level and get everyone on the same hymn sheet, not just from a technical standpoint, but like you say, from like an ethos and the way they work and whatever, because it makes a massive difference as to how successful any project's going to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now it's gone to like a whole enterprise almost.
Yeah, so it's taken time to grow the team. I think growing a consultancy is really hard work, to be honest, particularly when you're starting out small and you're getting buy-in from the Salesforce team for referrals and bringing them people to the table, and you're competing with the big boys. There are big sort of consultancies out there that will be favoured by Salesforce in terms of certain client groups and scale. So it's taken a lot of effort, vigor, getting a team that I can trust. And you pointed out before about how do you do it all. Actually, I've got to a point. It's been a hard journey, but I've got an amazing team right now who understand and all want to deliver the same professional vigor that I find important, and they're all really passionate about what they do. So I have a really amazing team. So I don't work beyond the hours that I need to. We kind of all step up to the plate around our job responsibilities, and that's partly having a really great leadership team around me as well. And I think the biggest thing I learned from my last business was to be patient. You have to be patient. You have this thing, I want everything now, and I'm quite impatient that, I'll just like have an idea and be like, right, let's do it. But I won't do that without thinking through things properly. And I think it's just having that patience to know that you're going to get to where you want to be, but it's going to take time and effort and, getting the right people around you.
And I think having that flexibility with the people around you and also offering the same to them makes things a lot easier. And that's partially what you're all about with the whole Supermum side of things anyway. So I mean, building off the back of that then, obviously you've achieved a hell of a lot since you started back in 2005, which I'm sure feels like an absolute lifetime ago now. But what does being a trailblazer mean to you?
I mean, my first business I started in 2005, and then the Salesforce Consultancy was 2012. So it's a couple of years, it was just myself. And I think what I enjoy in both of those roles, and kind of reflect still now, is I enjoy helping other people achieve their potential. And whether that's working with charities and making them happy because they've got better ways of doing things, and you walk out of the room because they're happier and smiling, or it's working with a mum, training mum and giving them the skills and knowledge they need to feel confident in their new career, that's what ticks my box. And it's the same with my team. I feel like I've got a great team now because they I love working with a team where people learn from you and they get it and they want to grow and they want to be the best they can be. And that's what I look for in that's what's important to me and how I live and breathe every day. What for me is blazing a trail is all about. It's about, showing and telling and sharing everything I learn with other people to help them learn and be happier and confident in themselves too.
And then, as a woman in tech, what are some of the challenges when it comes to starting a new career in the Salesforce ecosystem?
I think the chances are that, if you're starting out in a brand new industry, it's like anything, you have to learn all the new skills. And I think some people think they just get the Salesforce admin certification and that's going to be enough to kind of forge a new career. It's a starting place, but it's certainly not where you stop. You have to keep learning and developing those additional skill sets to kind of be really good. And so I think, I sat with the Salesforce admin cert and it was fine where I was for a couple of years because I was running my own non-profit, I could get my head around it and everything that. But then I was at a point where I was going to go out and consult with other people. I knew I needed to get the additional training. So I think that's the biggest realization for the women is, absolutely you can do it, but you have to keep investing in yourself. And your training and knowledge development in order for you to kind of keep stepping up to the plate with clients.
How important is the Salesforce community when it comes to like improving diversity in the ecosystem, do you think?
So I think, the biggest thing that I've wanted to do and what I've seen has been a need with Supermums is to provide role models and create awareness. So with Supermums, we went out, we're targeting women and mums on Facebook who've never heard of Salesforce before. You know, we're going out into these networks of mums and telling them to explore what Salesforce is as a career. And so it really is our responsibility, I think, you know, to see how we can reach out to people that aren't already in this sector. Salesforce has done loads of great work around recognising and celebrating trailblazers from all walks of life and telling their stories. Stories get delivered to people who aren't in our normal world. And what's lovely, and sort of you see the echo, is that a lot of them are coming through word of mouth of peers in the sector already. I think that's probably the best way to reach people, because it's the partners, it's the sisters, it's the brothers, it's kind of the whole family and friends sort of recommendation that we get a lot of our referrals from, as well as also reaching out through sort of more cold avenues like Facebook and LinkedIn, and volunteering to write blogs or speaking at events and things outside of the sector. Otherwise they don't know what a career, I mean, I would have never dreamt about what a career in Salesforce would have meant for me until I accidentally fell across the system, you know, and I just don't think people appreciate what the potential is. So I think it's all about looking at how we can, you know, I think Salesforce community is fantastic at volunteering and sharing knowledge within it, which is absolutely fine. The thing I'd sort of encourage more people to do is look at where there's groups and networks of, you know, people trying to get back into work or thinking about career options outside of the Salesforce ecosystem, because that's where we need to amplify the voice still.
Leading on then from that, how do you think like wider businesses and communities can kind of help to improve the numbers of women? I guess you said kind of reaching out and doing events for people that aren't necessarily within the ecosystem. What else do you think we can kind of be doing?
What was really nice over International Women's Day is that quite a lot of the companies did blogs and things about what their female staff were doing and what their roles were and everything. So I think, again, it is just raising, you know, if they can do more of that, hold events, write blogs, but also look at how they can engage with perhaps more external groups that they're aware of or interested in. Hence Jonathan's on this call, so there's a whole, you know, veteran sort of engagement. We've obviously focused on mums, but there's, you know, there's more mature groups like over 50s. There's, you know, there's lots of different sort of, I don't like the word disadvantage, but, you know, groups that are thinking and struggling about career choices, like, you know, whether it's young people, for example, which obviously is going to be a massive problem with unemployment again now. You know, we've got an opportunity right now to go, well, how do we plug into groups that we're passionate about, maybe as a company or as an individual, and help to them to raise awareness.
You've kind of touched on it briefly, and I know you're kind of with super mums, like champion kind of flexible working and things like that. And obviously at the moment everyone's kind of working from home, and there's kind of a lot more awareness of that, I guess, because of the current situation everyone's finding themselves in. So what kind of advice do you have for businesses maybe to implement more flexible working, and I guess to carry on kind of giving people more time and flexibility around the way they work?
So it's a really interesting one. I've sort of felt the pains of growing a team where you've got some people that want to work in the office and some people want to be virtual, and trying to get create a culture that is inclusive for everybody and everybody feels part of it. You know, I've always wanted to work from home. You know, when I'll go into London, I live 2 hours out of London, so I'll go into London literally for meetings, bob into the office or have a team meeting on Friday and then come back again. And you get that whole sort of challenge of, like, some people want to be in the office full time. They're like, well, we don't see you. It's like, well, I'm a virtual worker, like, you can pick up the phone anytime to me. You know, it's like, well, okay, you know, you're getting this balance between people who love to be in the office and want to chat and a bit more social versus those that are quite happy working virtually. So I think that has disappeared right now because everybody's working virtually in probably the Salesforce world specifically anyway at the moment. So you know, that level of balance won't exist, but it will be something they face. When we implemented, you know, using I mean, there's various things that we use, but Chatter or Slack as a virtual communication tool, and just making sure that the team that maybe would be in office do think about sharing and celebrating things and communicating via those channels to benefit and feel like those that are sat at home feel included. I've supported flexible working across the organisation, but in a way that it's still got to make business sense for me. You know, they've got to work a certain number of hours to make it viable. They've still got to be free to accommodate full client calls. They've got design workshops and things from a consultancy point of view. You know, so we are flexible, but within confines that make it work for all. So also just being restrictive on, you know, what is it that you really need for this role and how do you manage that?
What are your predictions for the future of women in tech, and what would you kind of want to see more of?
Absolutely. So I launched the Empower Women Leadership Lunches at the moment, because what I've identified, having spoken to a lot of consultancies and sort of feeling, you know, feedback from trainees as well, is that the answer to supporting more women into tech and supporting them to stay there as well is having more females on leadership teams. You know, given the current situation with COVID, there's been a lot of concern actually about how that's actually having a negative knock-on impact on equality right now, because women are having to pick up all the homeschooling in some cases, or quite a lot of cases it seems, you know, and having to deal with cleaning and doing their work job alongside, and are more likely to be furloughed because they're the ones with childcare responsibilities. And so there's a real sort of negative impact on women at the moment. You know, which obviously I believe that won't be across the board completely, but it seems to be from research and from the media that it is having that more trickle impact on them. I think in order to sustain and maintain momentum for women into tech, you know, having somebody at the top, or female leadership at the top, that really believes in supporting equality throughout, make sure there's resources and sponsorship and financial resource and that attention to it. That means that if you implement a strategy beneath that, that those things are then followed through and retained, and that communication is there. And it's something that does need attention. When within the first Empower Women Leadership Lunch I did, I shared a report that Accenture have done around this and all the different areas that you can support women. And the case is, you're not going to be able to achieve all of that as a business. You know, if you're maybe somebody like Accenture, you probably try and tackle it all because they're big and corporate and have, you know, that sort of agenda, but their agenda is to achieve a 50-50 split across all levels of their organisation. And all of the areas that you can influence that, you know, it's fantastic to see all the options. But my recommendation to people on those lunches was, you know, go out to your team and find out which of these are most important to them. And then start working on those, because you want to hear the voices of women in your organisation right now about where they need help, where they need support, you know, and then implement the areas and give them that shopping list, you know, give them that selection of things. Look, these are all the things that we could do to support you in the workplace. Which ones are most important and prevalent to you right now? Okay, great, we've got your feedback. Let's start working on these, because we've heard you, we want to support you, and we want to do more to help you grow in the organisation. I think is one thing, is that, you know, a lot of women get stuck lower down and don't, you know, ascend because for some reason they have parental responsibilities, can be seen as a barrier to that, which it shouldn't do. And equally, you know, they need to change their perception, and the opportunity needs to be opened up to support them to grow and develop, and, you know, or even thrive in the role that they're in right now if they want to stay there, but to feel like they are thriving. And they can juggle it all.
I guess for a lot of businesses it's probably really overwhelming, like all the things that they can do or they feel like they should be doing can be such a long list, and then it's really daunting. So it's such a good idea to kind of put it to the employees and ask them what's the most important thing to them, to then action that first and split it into priorities of the employees rather than just try and tackle everything. What's the best piece of advice you've received throughout your entire career that you can share with everyone?
The biggest piece of advice people always say is ask questions, right? Whether it's with your clients or anybody else, ask questions. And I think with my coaching hat on, that's very much, you know, sort of I did my NLP coaching certification when I was 25, which would be 15 years ago now, and it was, you know, really enlightening to kind of ask questions from people. I think the biggest impact that's had for me is you know, asking other Salesforce consultancy owners about how do they run a consultancy, to them, and getting advice from people to help me grow my own consultancy. That's been, you know, there's that kind of blinker of like, they're competitors, you know, we can't talk, and then actually having great conversations that have, you've been mobilised through Salesforce, have started organising partner lunches, which allows you to get to know partners better, and you have that time to chat to them, and through recommendations, that sort of learning from other people to further your career is the biggest thing that you can take away, rather than feeling, you know, that sort of you're in your isolated box, nobody can help. It's kind of, don't be afraid to reach out. And I think that's the one thing Salesforce community is really good at, is sharing knowledge, you know, on lots of different channels and experience. And I think it's just tapping into the right sort of the right people for you, and you know what you need to learn about right now.
Yeah.